All right, you guys, here we go. Rivers and Lakes, Lesson 3. Ian Fraser wrote of spending summers at his grandmother's cottage on Lake Erie. Lake Erie can be so rough and cold and widespread, or windswept, you'd think the glaciers left just last week, right? The big picture. You have already read about the glacier that formed and filled Lake Erie. The same glacier helped shape many other bodies of water in our state. Thousands of miles of rivers flow through Ohio. They are connected to each other, somewhat like the branches of a tree. Small creeks flow into larger streams and rivers. Streams and rivers connect with even larger rivers or empty into one of our many lakes. This system of waterways connects communities in our state. For example, we can boat down the river from Ripley to Cincinnati. Our rivers also connect us to other states and the rest of the world. You'll discover more in this lesson about these connections. You'll also discover why water has always been and still is so important to our state. So, over here, you see this is the sidebar, right here. Over here, we have natural resource, transportation, barge, source, mouth, tributary, river basin, port, pollution, Lake Erie, Ohio Divide, and Ohio River. Now, we've already talked about a bunch of these things, so you guys a wealth of water, because water fills so many of our needs. It is an important natural resource. A natural resource is something found in nature that people can use, like wood and coal and water, right? Oil, right? Those are all natural resources. Water is a resource. Everyone in the world uses water. We bathe in water. We cook and clean with water. We water our gardens and crops. Most of the water we use comes from our lakes and rivers. For thousands of years, Ohioans have depended on these lakes and rivers. Highways of the past. In the past, Ohio's rivers and streams provided the fastest transportation routes to link people together. Transportation means moving goods or people from one place to another. See, look, this is good to know. I'm going to ask you later on, what does transportation mean? It means moving goods or people from one place to another. Dave Roberts was born in 1897 in New Richmond, 20 miles east of Cincinnati. In those days, steamboats traveled up and down the river, transporting goods and passengers. Years later, Roberts remembered the importance of river travel. Look at this, carrying coal on barges down the Ohio River. You see that right there? Twice a year, my parents made shopping trips to Cincinnati, which was the city. They went by steamboat for the same reason the boxes and the bales went by steamboat. It was for a long time the only way to go. Today, you won't see many steamboats on the Ohio, but you will see lots of barges. A barge is a huge flat boat. Because barges don't have engines, other boats push or pull them. Often, a number of barges are hooked together and travel down the river like a floating train. Ohio's rivers. Look at the map on this page to find the line marked Ohio Divide. So we talked about this. We actually built the map. The Ohio Divide is a line of small hills that runs east to west across our state. Rivers north of the divide flow into, you guys know, Lake Erie. Rivers south of the divide flow into the Ohio River. So, here's the Ohio River. All these rivers are flowing south to the Ohio River. All the rivers north are flowing to Lake Erie. Okay? At the source. Look at the map to see where the Cuyahoga River begins. The place where a river begins is called its source. The mouth of a river is the place where the river empties into a larger body of water. The mouth of the Cuyahoga River is on Lake Erie. Find the mouth of the Scioto River. The river grows wider and deeper as it flows south. Why? Along the way, smaller rivers and streams called tributaries flow into it. Right? We talked about this. How did Ohio get its name? The Iroquois called the Ohio River Ohio, which means great river or big river. To early Europeans, Ohio sounded like Ohio. Europeans took the name of the river and gave it to the land that now is our state. That's interesting. It's a map again. Many large rivers, it says, the beautiful Ohio, many large rivers are tributaries of our state's largest river, the Ohio River. This river flows 981 miles, or roughly 1,579 kilometers, west from its source in the western Pennsylvania to Illinois, where it empties into the Mississippi River. This means that the mighty Ohio River is itself a tributary of an even larger river, the Mississippi River. The Great Miami, Scioto, Hocking, and Muskingum rivers all flow into the Ohio River, making the Ohio River deeper and wider. These tributaries also add to the size of the Ohio River Basin. The river basin is all the land that is drained by a river and the river's tributaries. Great Lake Erie. You read in Lesson 1 that Lake Erie, on Ohio's northern border, is part of the system of huge lakes called the Great Lakes. There are 5 different Great Lakes. You guys, we talked about this, right? Holmes. Lake Erie is the 4th largest and is bigger than the entire state of New Jersey. Lake Erie's role in Ohio's past. Just like the Ohio River, Lake Erie played an important role in Ohio's past. People built settlements near the Lake Erie. Some of these settlements became important ports. A port is a place where ships load and unload goods. What 2 Ohio ports are shown on the map? Let's see. Oh, I see. The 2 ports that are shown on this map are Cleveland and Toledo. Okay. Sandusky, Cleveland, and Toledo became important Lake Erie ports. In time, ships traveled all the way from Lake Erie to the Atlantic Ocean. Right on the, you know how they did that? They traveled on the St. Lawrence River. See that? And that gets us out to the Atlantic, see? Protecting Ohio's waterways. As more and more people used Ohio's rivers and streams, pollution became a problem. Pollution is any substance such as a chemical that makes the air, water, or soil dirty. Ships spilled oil into lakes and rivers. Businesses dumped waste directly into streams. Ian Fraser wrote about the way Lake Erie looked 30 years ago. Do you think Fraser knew about pollution when he visited Lake Erie as a child? All the time my family spent at grandmother's cottage, I don't recall anyone talking about pollution. My father, grandmother, other relatives were people of strong opinions on many subjects, but apparently not on that. I was a child and assumed the lake was as it had always been. It did not reflect much on the dead fish we buried, or the fish we saw swimming upside down in circles, or the decline of the numbers of white bass, or the ear infections I got in the summers, or the rainbows of oil slicks in the water. Since Ian Fraser's childhood, great steps have been taken to clean up Ohio's waterways. It is up to each of us to do our part to keep Ohio's waterways clean and safe and beautiful. Why it matters. In early days, Ohio's rivers and lakes were highways for travel and trade. Today, they still help us deliver products to market. They also supply water to farms and factories, fill our taps with drinking water, and give us many hours of enjoyment. All right, so you guys are going to answer number 1 and number 2. Number one, what is the difference between the mouth of a river and its source? 2, how does the Ohio River affect the flow of rivers in Ohio? Okay, and we're going to do 3. In what ways is water an important resource for Ohioans? All right, we'll do 1, 2, and 3. All right. Tadero out.